Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Cock-a-doodle-doo!
Great, good. And this week, we investigate a pair of foul plots with Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, and Chicken Police, Paint It Red. Before we talk about the horniest minigame I've ever played in my life, remember you can help find us on Mortified. You can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, or following us on Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron.
We are so clucking back.
Oh, we're so clucking back, buddy.
Yeah, thank you all for whoever's out there still listening for abiding by our hiatus. Things got pretty wild there in Q4 2023. But we're gonna try to get this back up running again because frankly I've missed doing it, missed talking to you.
Yeah, I missed hanging out with my buddy. If you didn't listen to the intro of our last episode, which how dare you, we will be back bi-weekly. So when you don't hear us next week, do not fret. That is our recording week, and then we'll have an editing week. We'll come back. It'll be every other week. Until further notice. We might come back full weekly again. We are just still very, very busy. So this is kind of the best we could do for now.
But yeah, we are going to try to do right by our faithful listeners who are still here and listening to us. So as we get back into the podcasting swing of things, Leyla, what are the two great, delicious dishes we've prepared for our listeners?
So our theme, Mortified loves a double feature if you've been with us for a while. So we decided, Aaron and I, that today's theme would be chicken justice, which is why we've watched the very good sequel to Chicken Run, a movie we have covered before. And also we found, I share you not completely at random, this game called Chicken Police, Paint It Red. And Aaron, would I be correct in saying we were both delighted by it?
Yeah, genuinely one of the best games I played in a while, which we'll talk about how, there's criticisms obviously, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, listen, as a game dev, I'm always the voice of caution on this podcast, saying, I gotta be careful when I talk about games because I don't want to insult my colleagues. Chicken Police devs, all of the feedback we're gonna give is gonna come from a place of such deep love. I love this game.
To pull back the curtain a little bit on the Mortified selection process, about once every couple months, me and Leyla will sit down and just be like, all right, what are we going to cover for the next block? And when it comes to video games, we will just go through Steam and various articles and be like, okay, this kind of fits a theme, but it's too long. So usually we'll go to best games that are under 10 hours and then look for the funniest one. And yeah, this is great. I'm very excited to talk about these two.
Absolutely. I believe we are starting with Chicken Run 2, which if you didn't listen to our original Chicken Run episode, some important context is that Chicken Run was one of the 3 movies that as a child I watched over and over and over and over again.
This is one of the ways you learn to speak English, right?
Yeah, Chicken Run was one of them, and God, there was a second one that I'm blanking on currently, but that is literally aside from going to school when I was, a wee bab and learning English in our ESL classes, the other ways I picked it up was definitely Chicken Run, Powerpuff Girls, and lip-reading Disney tie-in games for the PS1 while I was still in Russia.
So if you have any questions as to why Leyla is the way they are...
this podcast answers a great deal of them.
Yeah, you already know by now if you're listening to episode 153. But yeah.
God, we've done so many podcasts.
Yeah, I can't believe we're doing season 5. So yeah, I guess, shall I do Chicken Run, and then we can both kind of try to tackle Paint It Red?
Oh, absolutely. I'll put on my best noir voice for Paint It Red.
Yeah, no, we definitely need the narrator who smokes 6 packs a day.
Yeah, well, the most I ever did was half a pack, but I'll do my best.
All right. Yeah, so Chicken Run 2 kind of takes place, at first in the immediate aftermath of Chicken Run 1, and then like roughly 11 years after that as their kid gets older. So if you'll remember from Chicken Run 1,
Well,
there
11,
were two...
11 chicken years.
Yeah,
I
11
don't think
chicken
they
years,
aged.
I suppose. Rocky and Ginger, Rocky being the American chicken, and Ginger being the British commando chicken, who led everybody to escape from the chicken farm. They all get all their chicken friends on an island, and they have a little chicken baby, and her name is Molly, and she's cute and great. But also she longs to see the outside world. She's never been off the island. This is very much like a coming of age story for her in that way. But Ginger, her mom, is still very traumatized by her experiences in straight up we said in our previous episode, very much compared to being in a concentration camp, which is perhaps a little bit extreme, but Ginger is still traumatized by those experiences, and doesn't want Molly to get hurt. This is a pretty typical story, right? This is your kid is growing up and wants to see the world, and you are overprotective as the parent. I'm saying you are overprotective as the parent because I guess I'm overprotective age now.
I always talk about
that's
this
just...
when we talk about shonen protagonists. We have had this discussion of
Right.
we are now in the age bracket where we're protective of children,
Right.
and not so much empathizing with the hero's journey of a Naruto.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, any thoughts on the first little bit, this intro bit where Molly kind of grows up, and I think there's definitely some pretty good gags in that little montage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, Aardman physical comedy still fucking crushing it. This whole movie full of goofs and gags and laughs of the physical variety that I love. I do have something to say about this opening, but it's in the context of the larger structure of the movie, so I will reserve my thoughts for now.
Very well. Yeah, so Molly gets old. She's like a tween at this point, and one day they notice that a bunch of chickens. They notice that there's a road being built next to the shore where their island is, and this road starts carrying trucks full of chickens to a place called Funland Farms.
Where chickens meet, what is it? Where chickens meet their
happy ending.
Their happy
Yeah.
ending. How
Yeah, it's
fucking
just
grim.
brutal. The thing that they're people are constantly doing in this film is the chickens are holding their hands together and giving 2 thumbs up and giving a big grin, and that's the logo for Funland Farms, which is very silly. But that's basically they see this, and Ginger calls a meeting of everybody on the island, is all right, here's what we got to do. We got to hide. And everybody's oh, we thought you were going to call for us to go do, rescue operations on this chicken farm, but we're all actually perfectly happy to just hide. And they do. And they camouflage their island. And it's completely fine. And, Ginger is perfectly happy with that. But Molly isn't, Molly gets the old poster out. If you remember the poster from Chicken Run 1 with Rocky being shot out of a cannon, right? She finds this poster, and Rocky kind of tells her that he used to be the lone free ranger, and he used to have all that good stuff. And Molly's wow, this is so cool. I can't believe Dad used to be somebody who did all this cool stuff. I want to do all this cool stuff and leave. And eventually she escapes the island. And as soon as she escapes the island, she meets Frizzle, who is also kind of a tween chicken, and she's purple, which I thought was very fun. Do you have thoughts on Frizzle?
I always love a Scottish chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Mac was my favorite in, my girl from Chicken Run original. I love Frizzle, the Scottish free-range chicken. My favorite part about Frizzle is when she finds out that Molly hasn't met a human. She's oh, they're so stupid. They're just around to feed us. Baby girl, you are both just full idiot children, and I love that so much for you. I do like that she's purple. She is the only purple chicken.
Yeah, it's very funny. And I was wondering why they made that choice. I guess it's just because to differentiate Frizzle from all the other chickens that are, eventually in the Funland farms. It's just like kind of a useful thing to be like, hey, here's the one that stands out. But it is a fun
Yeah, which
choice.
her silhouette already kind of does, but I mean, like, it doesn't not it's not such a weird choice that it's like distracting, because Bunty is also kind of like crimson,
Right.
and it's not that far off as a color, so it's not too bad.
I do feel like they are kind of hinting at a queer relationship between Molly and Frizzle.
It did feel charged.
Like, they're a bit young. I definitely don't think Aardman wanted to like broach that territory, but like Frizzle does call Molly baby girl at one point, which is very
In
funny.
a direct echo of Molly's father doing something like that to her mom.
Right. And like it's very much like the overconfident, slightly older, uh, you know, potential romantic partner. I like it. I ship it. I think they're cute. But it was interesting to be like, oh, is this where they're going for Chicken 1-3? Uh, the fucking war on on meat processing plants. That would be good.
Oh god, I hope there's not a
We'll
chicken run
we'll talk
3.
about it. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, they like you said, Frizzle goes up to the human who's like running the truck that goes to one of these farms, and willingly gets herself captured. Molly follows her. They get taken to Funland. Um, Ginger and like the rest of the chickens have followed them, and when they find like they track the truck back to where it's going, they find Funland Farm, which is Layla. Do you remember? Have you ever seen The Incredibles?
I have seen The Incredibles,
It
yes.
reminds me of the antagonist from The Incredibles, like his fortress. It just looks like a supervillain fortress. There's a moat. There's like a bunch of there's like huge walls with electric fences and razor wire. There's
A moat full of robot ducks.
yes. It's really funny. I like it a lot that like it is right when you're making media you have to escalate the stakes, so it's a very funny way to do that, by just
Well,
like, um,
well, we see Rocky fail his way through it, which is how we find
right,
out what all the shit is. Because he gets electrocuted by the fence. There's barbed wire on top of it. There's like a fucking pop-up drones on the grass that have mini rockets, and then the ducks have laser cyclops eyes, and then he gets tossed down a trash chute. Like, there's so much.
it's great.
Um,
It's really funny just to see like I didn't enjoy this movie that much just because it is very much a kids movie, and a lot of it is just like kind of adventure shit that doesn't really matter. It's just like filling time to like do the adventure story stuff, and that is just a personal taste thing. But I did actually like this sequence where Rocky is just getting his shit completely wrecked by all the defenses, and then eventually he just gets like funneled down a trash chute.
yeah, and I mean, this is one of like two sequences like that, because then you have this whole what's going on in the interior segment too. I love this high tech chicken farm, and especially so I'm gonna kind of scoot along in the summary here, but when we see what Molly and Frizzle are going through inside the chicken farm, we see like an idyllic chicken playground, right?
Mhm.
You actually likened it to Pippin.
Well, Layla, have you seen Pippin, the 1972 musical by Stephen Schwartz?
I have not seen Pippin the 1972 musical by Steven Schwartz.
Okay, we'll talk about that, but yeah, um, it is very much like presented as like kind of a theme park, right? Like there's rides and slides and all you can eat, chicken feed, uh, and that's all well and good. But the thing that I wanted to, the reference I made to Pippin, it happens when we see, all these chickens have these collars around their necks, right? And these collars are, mind control collars, basically. They, make them subservient to the will of Dr. Fry, who runs Funland. A Daisy fellow, by the way. Shout outs to my brother, Dr. Fry. But like,
Who has multiple degrees, by the way, we find out from Oxford and
yeah, I
Cambridge.
mean, listen, brown parents are hard. I understand. But like, the bit that I was comparing to Pippin is the bit where he demonstrates, the reason this film is called Dawn of the Nugget is because they're moving from chicken pies in the first one to like, fast food, and how like chicken nuggets, right? It's in some ways like an Americanization of this franchise, which is like, chicken pies are a very British thing, where chicken nuggets are a very American thing. Um, but like one of the chickens is like compelled to walk into the sun, and behind the facade of the sun is like a plant that will turn you into a bucket of chicken nuggets. But there is a parallel because, spoilers for Pippin, I guess. The last song, the penultimate song in Pippin is where the narrator of the musical encourages Pippin to set himself on fire, um to like be the climax. Listen, Pippin's a wild musical. I think it's really cool what it's doing with like meta narratives and story structure. But like it is very much like, hey, you're the hero of this story, and now to have a big climax, set yourself on fire in front of all these people. And the song that they sing is called "Think About the Sun." It's very influential on me. Y'all should go watch Pippin sometime. Anyway, that's that sidebar.
Okay, excellent. I feel like I learned something about you.
Mm-hmm. But
Great. Let's talk some more about these chickens.
yeah. Anyway, the reason that they, the big reveal after like the chicken gets turned into chicken nuggets is that this is all in service of Dr. Fry's wife, who is of course the former Farmer McTweedy's wife, Mrs. McTweedy.
Just
No, it's
Tweety.
just
Marisha
Tweedy now. And I'm happy for Dr. Fry. He was able to pull a tall, mean baddie. Good for him.
Marisha Tweety really had a glow up. She's got her updo's polished up, her eyeshadow's brighter. She hooked a man of multiple degrees. I also like at one point she's talking to the American like fast food franchise owner,
Sir Eat-A-Lot, yeah.
She's trying to like, yeah, well that's the franchise name is Sir Eat-A-Lot. I forget what the guy's name.
It doesn't matter.
Is.
He's Sir Eat-A-Lot.
He's Sir Eat-A-Lot to us, and to
Dr.
Fry. But she's talking to him and she's like, and finally I can have my revenge. And he's like, revenge? And she's like, revenue. And Marisha, revenue can be also revenge. So I don't think you actually tripped up on that too much. As Beyonce said, best revenge is that paper.
That's right. So true. And then like from here, the rest of the story just kind of happens, right? They break out, and then, they go back for the Scottish purple chicken love interest. I've already forgotten. Frizzle, thank you.
Frizzle. You're welcome.
And, they get all the chickens out and they escape and they go on to form a paramilitary organization, and it's all, they all live happily ever after. But yeah,
right.
like, do you have anything to say about the end of the movie? Because like, I really don't. It's just sort of like fun hijinks.
Yeah, okay, so I'd like to go back to, the thing I avoided saying in the beginning.
Sure.
So, listen, I have 2 small nephews. If I were babysitting, I would have no problem sticking them in front of this flick. It's very fun. It's very colorful. Choreo's on point. I love an Aardman, hijinks physical comedy scene. All good stuff. Watching it as an adult who, again, has worked in animation, and I am of the firm belief that children deserve good entertainment, and I'm thus willing to criticize children's media as I would adult media. This movie's core problem is that it is completely non-committal to an idea. Mm-hmm. And I think didn't spend enough time setting the emotional stakes and spent way too much time paying them off.
Right.
I would have liked a longer act 1. I would have liked a commitment to a point of view. Are we going to tell it from Ginger's point of view, where we see her be kind of, as a result of her very, like, textual PTSD, being overbearing and limiting on her daughter, where we see her convincing the other chickens not to talk about what happened to them off the island when they lived on the farm. Or are we going to get Molly's point of view, where we don't get the recap of Chicken Run 1 in the beginning, and we just dive into Molly not understanding why her, like, big village family won't tell her anything. Why anytime she asks why she can't go off the island, or what happened off the island, or finds evidence of things that happened off the island, everyone's just like, oh, ha, 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 nothing at all. And that's why we go. If we had set that up and seen, like, the rift between her and Ginger and Rocky more, and then let her spend more time with Frizzle at the farm, and kind of given it or heading to the farm, like, given them a little bit of a journey there to be like, okay, we're going to willingly go to the farm, and we're going to bond on our way there over our shared experience of, like, being sheltered or whatever. Then go to the farm, and then things go to hell, and then you have the kind of breakout. I think that would have paid off better. The other thing I noticed was that this movie, for some reason, and I think this is like the Americanization you were talking about, was afraid of being as almost grim as the original Chicken Run, because we never saw the machinery that turned these chicks into nugs.
Right.
Which I know sounds insane, but there's like 2 sequences in the pie machine in the original where you saw all the bits and fucking bobs. Right. And I feel like there's just like, therefore, not enough of the stakes. So it felt a little bit artificial, and it didn't help that in the last sequence with Marisha. First of all, very cool that there's a lot of visual callbacks to the original. Like, the last fight with Marisha is almost the same exact choreography, down to the axe kind of acting as a boomerang, as in the original, which is just a neat callback. But there are like 3 points at which Ginger and Molly have the off switch, and none of them press it to set up this, like, fake dramatic buildup to getting Molly in a compromising position. Like, one of you just fucking press it, dude. Like, there are so many other ways to set it.
And also, they lampshade it, right? Because they're like, why are there 3 remotes to this machine? Who nobody knows. It's like, okay, that's a clear nod to the audience that, like, we're just doing this because of story reasons. And, like, you know, it's fine. I understand that you're doing it, but, like, I do agree, Leyla. I do think that this movie definitely pulled its punches in a lot of places.
Yeah, so that's my Chicken Run 2 Dawn of the Nugget rant. It's just, it felt a little bit again, I would be more than happy to stick my nephews in front of this, but, like, it just pulled some punches. It felt a little bit non-committal in its story structure, and I just, like, I wish it had gotten, I say this a lot on this podcast, but I wish I had gotten one more pass. And I actually feel similarly about Chicken Police. So
I think Chicken Police probably could have got one more pass for, like, editing and continuity, but I do think Chicken Police is kind of the opposite of Chicken Run 2 in that, like, it does
too many punches, you think?
Well, it is a little edgy at times, but, like, I do think that it actually succeeds at what it was going for in a bigger way, whereas, like, Chicken Run 2 felt a little bit safe. And, you know, obviously different kinds of media for different audiences, but I did feel that Chicken Police committed to its like core premise much harder.
Yeah, it definitely committed to its bit. But yeah, overall, I did like Dawn of the Nugget, but it didn't, I don't know. There's something about the original that is so charming, and that, like, Harry Gregson Williams score, who came back for Dawn of the Nugget, but there's that, like, melodramatic, Chicken Run 1 takes itself so seriously, right, and it's so fun, and I just, like, didn't feel that from this one, and that's okay. I think that's completely fine. Again, it's a completely fine kids movie. I just, you know, it's okay.
Yeah, right. You know, it's a sequel, a sequel produced by Netflix. Like, there's only so much you can hope for, unfortunately.
And you know what I'm going to say as my final thought, and again, this is a common theme for me, I'm just glad my Aardman girlies got paid.
Right. At the end of the day, you know, if you're keeping practical effects alive, God bless you. Sure.
Yeah, if you're keeping my boys at Aardman fucking lined, great. Fantastic.
Yeah, Leyla, so do you want to tell us a little bit about Chicken Police?
I would love to, Aaron. Sonny Featherland is a washed-up cop. 121 days from retirement. He is contacted by Deborah Ibanez, who asks him to investigate whoever's been threatening her mistress, Natasha Katsenko. Sonny is hesitant until he receives a message that implicates his ex-wife, Molly, in whatever is going on with Natasha. Sensing he's gonna get in deep trouble, he reluctantly agrees and heads down to the station to meet his old partner. After chatting with the other cops on duty, Sonny talks to Marty, a huge fucking rooster with a love for guns. Marty shot Sonny the last time they met, but gets over their argument fairly quickly when Sonny asks for his help. Together, the chicken police is reunited, and they go down to downtown Clawville, to the Czar Club, Natasha Katsenko's own haunt. After talking their way through the best character...
There we go.
That's true. The best character in the game, a bodyguard named Archibald, they're allowed into the cabaret. Okay, listen, I would like to point out I cannot believe that you accused me in your notes of possibly being thirsty for Marty. Incorrect. Archibald is my dude.
Archibald fucking rules. He's like this big ram who speaks with like a French Canadian accent. And he's like, like, very polite, but also like later is just like shooting guns at you. I love Archibald. He's just great.
He fucking rules. Okay, so this far into the story, okay, we've met Sonny Featherland, who's our main character, our cop. I love that a lot of the shots we get of him are like him driving his car. It's a noir, so in black and white down the highway. We've also met Lewis at this point, who is Sonny's landlord and a stuttering rabbit.
Right.
Who is kind of a fan of the famed chicken police, and Marty. Now, how do you feel so far about our cast of characters?
Sonny is, I think Sonny is kind of perfect for what he is supposed to be doing. He is supposed to be exactly what we said, the cop that's 3 months from retirement that kind of sucks, and it's just kind of like an alcoholic, barely has his shit together. The quote that the game gives when you're like looking through the documents is like, Marty shot me last time we talked and I deserved it, which is like, yeah, I bet you did because you suck ass, Sonny Featherland. And Santiago is his full name, I believe. Santino, thank you. But like, yeah, I mean, I think I like Sonny in that he is exactly like the noir, narrator that you kind of want in these like stories. I like Sonny fine. I think Marty, his partner, is exactly also what you want, which is like kind of like the younger, more hot-headed version, but also kind of a dummy because he's like young and horny. I think that's fine. And then there's Lewis. Lewis is a little bit weird. But like there's a lot of characters. There's like something like 30 characters in this game, right?
26 main characters.
Yeah, like an incredible number of characters. Very clearly laying the breadcrumbs for like an expanded universe. And like, so that's why we don't get a whole lot of character development from all of them. But like I think in focusing on the adventures of the chicken police, they make a smart choice and then kind of like leave these like unanswered questions that I do actually think helps a lot of the story more than it hurts it.
Yeah, I will say, so the way you kind of get reintroduced introduced to Marty is that there's this kind of really big buildup to Sonny kind of dreading going in to talk to him. And when you talk to everybody around the police station, when he first comes in, everyone's like, man, Marty hasn't been the same after you left. Like, we know you guys parted on iffy terms, but like all he does now is waste ammo at the shooting range. And there was this huge build up to the fact that Marty had shot Sonny. Sonny almost died, like something happened. And then he walks in and everyone's like, oh, watch out. He's going to be super pissed. I think the Bosco who you talk to is like, dude, just let him rage. Let him rage. And then he'll come down and he'll be just like he was. I found all that build up to a very anticlimactic conversation with Marty.
Yes, I think that the relationship with Sunny and Marty in this game is maybe its biggest stumbling block because, like you said, right, they do foreshadow all these like important things and they never really pay them off in a satisfying way, unfortunately. Um, like well, like exactly like this, where they're like, "Oh yeah, it's this big confrontation with your partner who nearly killed you, and because you had some sort of argument, and it's over within like one real life minute of like clicking through their conversation and being like, oh okay, you're just gonna join him then." And Marty's like, yeah, whatever, I don't have anything else to do. I'm still mad at you, but not really.
Yeah. Important gamer question: did you play the shooting gallery minigame?
I did, and I thought I did pretty good, and then I saw your screenshot, and I was like, holy shit, Leyla.
I got the top score. Yeah, I love a shooter gallery. It's a good time. So you wanted, before we get into the Star Club, you did want a sidebar to talk about the other good character, who is Zip the Raccoon.
Yeah, he becomes more important later in the story, but just like, there's a bit where you can like go to the bar.
The hot dog.
The hot dog, yes. It's and you point out this is like an homage to a famous painting, right?
It is. The hot dog is literally a reference to Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, and I looked at it for 1 second and I was able to pull that. It's a really good reference.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm very, very impressed that you made that pull. But yeah, like it's this rundown you know coffee joint, essentially. It's like a diner.
It's a diner. It's like a Greasy Spoon diner.
Right. There's a bunch of references to the fact that the last time they were here, Marty and Sunny trashed the place because they got in a fight with some like thugs, basically. And the proprietor, Zip, who is this raccoon, is just like, you suck. Y'all should get out of here, but also like is completely fine with them still being here and patronizing the place. They do call him a trash panda, and like one thing I noted very early on is that everyone is a racist in this universe.
Yeah, completely unnecessary detail.
Like, I don't know what it adds besides being like, oh, this is gritty and edgy, which, like, sure, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you can get away with animal racism a little bit, I guess, but it is a weird detail that I don't think adds anything.
I don't think it adds anything. So you do get this like hint at there being a kind of Zootopia-esque conflict of the royalists who want all the animals to live together and the separatists who don't. And it might be part of that, right? But it just like neither thing was really fleshed out enough for me to get that from it. But it's an edgy noir. It does what it has to do.
Right.
But anyway,
but Zip the raccoon is there, and he's fun. He's just kind of like a shady diner guy who's kind of like the tavern keeper in a fantasy story, right? He knows all the weird secrets around town.
Yeah, he's a cool town goss. Actually, so quick anecdote from our hiatus is a friend of the show, Marty, and I went to a Ren fair, and one of the things that we found at the Ren fair was there was a stall selling adorable little clay guys, and then sign up for free gossip, and that attracted me like a fly to honey. And so naturally I like squeezed my way in and was like, I see a free gossip. And obviously it was like fake roleplay gossip, right? She doesn't give me shit about the king. And Marty turns to me, just no hesitation, no scope headshot, goes, yeah, I fucking knew you were going to clear the way, and go straight for the hot goss. I was like, go fuck yourself.
Listen, you're trying to get your own Evermore experience.
I was, and I did. I love that stand. I hope they're there if we go again next year. All right. Inside the club, they watch a performance by Natasha Katsenko, who Sunny immediately falls in love with. Afterwards, they talk to her and her boyfriend, the gangster, Ibn Wessler. They reveal that the threatening word written on the wall of Natasha's house is whore. Sunny questions Natasha privately in her room. She says that he should come to her weekend house so she can show him something important. After talking to Natasha, they are also met by an old private eye, Filmar, who gives them a weird list of names. Um, yeah, I loved the melodrama of Sunny watching Natasha perform and like clearly like becoming bewitched.
Yeah, like there's a bit where like after the like a full cutscene plays and they do the super giant thing where they have somebody like sing a song, and like it's this big, there's a lot of detail and attention put into the sequence, and like it's also hysterical to watch a photoshopped chicken like react and be manipulated in a way that makes it seem like he is falling drastically in love with this sexy cat woman. It's really funny to watch, but also like is played completely straight. Marty is like trying to like whack Sunny like to snap out of it. But it's really good. And especially, they're going for a Sin City thing, where Natasha Katsenko is one of the few characters who has color in the game. Like her eyes are this like bright green, which is a very stark contrast with the rest of the world. But yeah, I think it just works.
I 100% agree. It just works. It's so dramatic. It's so fun. I love Natasha Katsenko. Now, okay, you and I both picked up on this. Is Natasha Katsenko a Romanov?
Yeah, I think she like textually is.
Great.
We find that out in Act 2. There, like, I have notes, but basically, it seems like she's Anastasia, right?
Excellent. I love this. Great. Let's keep going. So when Sunny and Marty go to investigate Natasha's house, they find Deborah dead, with whore written on her back. Natasha is nowhere to be found. If you do a puzzle to open a safe in the house, you find a scrap of a painting. I would have never solved this without the guide, by the way.
Yep.
That is just... I am not that attentive. So they also found a card belonging to members of the exclusive brothel, the Sweltering Nile. Sunny and Marty go to the Sweltering Nile to meet with its proprietor, Madame Zewas. Another excellent character, by the way, in this game. I love Zewas.
Yeah, Madame Zewas owns. I want a whole game about her, because she's fucking sick.
Give me Madame Zewas fucking spy thriller set in, wherever the fuck she's from. I love that shit.
I want to talk a lot about Madame Zewas's office, because this sequence was one of the most interesting parts of the game to me. They go into her office, and the first thing we see are these big, like, quote unquote tribal masks. If you've like seen various like peoples who are indigenous to various places in Africa, you've seen like these like long masks. But like it very clearly they're like she's a crocodile, she's Egyptian, right? They're trying to draw that parallel, but also they're human masks. Like they're the kind of mask that human people would wear, and like none of them are shaped to fit a crocodile. So one, just a wild world building bit. Two, the Nile is textually a river, so this place takes place on Earth. This Clawville is a place on Earth. This whole world, and they actually, even in Natasha's house, there's like a statue of a human, and they make reference to the fact that humans are mythical creatures, which is wild. And then like there's a bit in Zewas's office where there's like this like sexy picture of her when she was young, and Marty's like, "Oh wow, you're super hot. Congrats!" And she's like, "Thanks. Yeah, I used to be super hot." Like there's just so much like dense world building in this area, and like when we get into her history with the royalists and how she used to be like a special operative, like. It doesn't unfortunately go anywhere, but I am just like so charmed by the way that they're just like, yeah, we have this whole world built out. Are we going to tell you anything about it? No. Don't worry about it. And like, I think that's great. That kicks ass, because like, this is the thing about telling stories, is that executing on like the questions that you pose in your own story is often unsatisfying. It is so hard to stick the landing, and sometimes it's just better when you don't answer those questions.
I mean, that's kind of a huge critique of like, not to call out Mr. Brandon Sanderson, but that's kind of the critique of the Sanderson-esque style of writing, right, where everything has an explanation and everything is set in some sort of logic, and I think that's so limiting. I think sometimes it's just gotta be vibes, and this was the vibiest shit I've played in a long time. I loved it so.
Absolutely, yeah, it was great.
So actually, on approach to Madame Zewas, another very interesting thing, I'm going to ask, are you sure that the zipping up the dress was the horniest minigame you've ever played?
For me, I mean, listen, I didn't play the giving the massage in FF 10-2.
I'm so glad that you picked up exactly on what I
Yeah,
was
we've been doing this
gonna
podcast for 5 years. I know what you're talking about. But yeah, no, there's this bit where like you're waiting for the receptionist to go get Zewas, and like this sex worker is like, "Oh, hey, big strong chicken man, my zipper's come undone. Can you zip up my dress?" And like you have to deliberately very very slowly zip up the dress on this like I think she's like a deer, or I don't know, she's some sort of animal woman. But like you have to do it slow, otherwise you'll fail the mini game. Uh, and it's just like very very funny to be like, oh, this is like the biggest furry bait I've ever seen in my life. And you have to. I criticize a lot of the mini games in this. I think they're mostly just there to be like, hey, we have an interactive portion that's not just reading and making choices. But like I do think it's just like an incredibly fun bit where it's just like, yeah, this is a noir story, you horny dirty boy. You're gonna go to a brothel and you're gonna like it.
It's very 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 good. I'm a sucker for like a brothel that's a family story.
Yes, exactly. No.
All the girls, like, you hear over and over again, they're willing to, like, do whatever to protect Madame Zewas. I love that shit.
Yeah, and like, they all come out with guns when you break into her secret room, and they're like, we'll kill these fuckers, we'll dump their bodies in the river, we don't care.
Yeah, Day Night, the fucking zebra receptionist, she fucking rules.
Yeah.
They also... So, did you go back after she tries to kill you?
No, I read that in the guide that you can, though, and it's just like completely fine.
It's completely fine. It was the most hysterical thing I've ever done, because you go back and Marty's like, Sonny, are we sure? And Sonny's like, yeah, what else is gonna happen? And you go and but Day Night is like, She's like, yeah, honestly, my bad. And they're like, it's fine. Can we go see Zewas again? And she's like, I don't know if she's gonna like that. And they're like, we kind of don't care. She's trying to kill us. And you go back and Zewas is like, honestly, I'm kind of glad to see you made it. Can I be real? I didn't actually want to kill you.
That rules. That is great. I love it, man. Visual novels are awesome.
Visual novels are very fun, actually. Yeah. So,
wait, hold on. How many visual novels have we played for Mortified?
Can I be real? Not enough.
I mean, yes, but I'm thinking, have we only played bird-themed visual novels for this podcast?
Yeah, it fucking feels like it, doesn't it?
This one, it had Tofu Boyfriend, right?
Yeah. Another wild ride.
Yeah, God. Maybe, yeah, incredible.
Yeah?
I was going to say, maybe all visual novels should be bird-themed.
I agree. Birds are great. Okay, so we left off a little bit in Madame Zewas' office. You solve a fun little clock puzzle to get into her secret room where you see all her spy stuff, and one of your clues actually starts to make sense there because Filmar, who is one of the detectives that you kind of run into, has given you this mysterious list of like a bunch of really high-ranking people in Clawville that doesn't make any sense. What you find in the secret room is that it is a list of clients that corresponds to some girlies working at the brothel, one of whom, is Natasha Katsenko, and the other one of whom, Aaron, is Sonny's ex-wife.
Whose name is...
Molly.
Molly. Wait, really?
Yeah, it's Molly.
Like the daughter?
Like the daughter, yeah. We got a double Molly.
It's all coming together.
It's all
Hold on.
connected.
Let's play that very bad mini game where you have to connect the dots that happens in this game.
Oh, yeah, that investigation mini game, again, with love, could use some work.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. Sorry, the wild gentleman.
Yeah, excellent game. That mini game could use a little bit of polish. So this is a big moment, and then of course the girls come in, and they, in a fantastic visual, Sonny and Marty end up tied up on a flaming boat.
Yeah, this is actually the best minigame in the game, but it is hysterical to see two chicken cops tied together on fire.
Yeah, that really minigame was genuinely stressful. Tracing that knot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to untie the knot that is like binding them together, and you just have to move your mouse through like this little maze. And if you fuck it up, you have to do it all over again. And if you fuck it up 3 times, you die.
Yeah, I fucked it up twice. It was very scary.
It's great.
and the fire keeps getting brighter and making it harder and harder and harder to see the actual rope. Ooh, it's good. It's a good game.
Yep.
Anyway, so they get off the boat. Thankfully, they end up heading back to Zip's diner. But oh no, Zip's gone, having asked the cops to arrest him. They find a weird wristband hidden in his jukebox, and then at the police station, Zip reveals that he ended up getting rid of a body for Ibn Wessler, and now Wessler wants him dead, so there's no loose ends. The doctor, the kind of off-grid, fucked-up witch doctor they have, Bubo, tells them the wristband is from an insane asylum. So we haven't talked about Ibn Wessler too much. Ibn Wessler is like the big gangster of this world, who is like Natasha's baby boy. And there's a very good moment where everyone's like, dude, Natasha's got him wrapped around her little finger. And she's like talking to him and the cops at the Czar Club. And she literally goes, oh my God, can you give me like a little drinky poo? And he just goes and does it, like the biggest gangster in this world, which I thought was a very nice touch. But so yeah, Ibn is this kind of shadow looming over this plot.
Right.
And this is where we find out that Ibn has an evil twin, which I think is incredible storytelling.
Yeah, sometimes you're just like, hey, by the way, let's do an evil twin now.
And I'm completely pro. So we find out that this evil twin is at an asylum that has a really good name that I'm blanking on.
I don't remember it either.
It's a long fucking name.
Yeah, it's like Happy Dream Times place for the mentally disturbed or something wild.
Something like that. I will say, okay, so one of my other minor criticisms is if we're going to do, I think it is completely okay to do like, or how do I put this? I think there was an opportunity to not put him in an asylum, but maybe put him in just like a hospital in the countryside, like a farm upstate kind of thing, and not diagnose him with schizophrenia, but just say that he like went mad with lust, which is basically what happened, and make it more nebulous. Because like diagnosing him with schizophrenia, like listen, y'all, I'm not even offended. I'm just kind of bored.
You're right. I mean, like, listen, they are working in a genre space. Like, this is kind of what they would be doing. You know, this is what would happen in, like 40s detective novel, right? But at the same time, you're making this in 2020, I believe, is when this game came out. So, like, y'all could have done this in a different way, and it would have been more interesting, I think. Yeah,
the schizophrenia diagnosis is just a little tried.
Right.
So Bubo does reveal that Wessler is his twin named Albert, which is just very fun. And then the boys go to this insane asylum, and they meet the two great characters of a snake doctor and also a giraffe nurse whose head you can't see.
It's just a fun gag. It's just a fun gag when you have a giraffe who you could never see their head because they're so tall. It's like, all right, that's fine. That's fun.
It's very, very good is the problem. So Dr. Quetzal the snake tells them about Albert Wessler and his weird history at the asylum. Namely that he like checked himself in voluntarily, and that he was just kind of like, one, given the special pretty boy treatment because he was a Wessler, and two, like, you know, never seemed to actually want to leave. But Ibn would come and pick him up because he was a prolific painter and had him do a painting of Natasha. And every time he would come back from doing the painting of Natasha, which you see in her office, it's a very horny painting.
Oh, yeah.
He would kind of come back different. And one time, Ibn came to pick him up and then returned to him with an eye and his tongue missing.
Right.
Now, Aaron, were your suspicions starting to be aroused when this story was being told?
So, as soon as I learned that Ibn Wessler had a twin, I was like, oh, they switched places. And then this, like, tongue getting torn out thing, confused me. I was like, oh, but if his tongue got torn out, I guess he couldn't be. And then, like, immediately it was revealed, like, oh yeah, they switched places, obviously. And then the real guy got his tongue torn out. I was like, oh.
I was gonna say, the tongue torn out was the tell for me. The tongue torn out, I was like, oh, that was Ibn Wessler that was in there. That was not Albert anymore. So the cops pretty quickly pieced together what we did, which is that Albert replaced Ibn. because of his love for Natasha, which is validated by this very creepy letter you find where he's just like saying that he has to like merge with Albert, basically.
Right.
And then the cops have this kind of like goodbye tour around town because they're like, well, we're walking into our deaths. Here we fucking go. And they go to confront Wessler at his manor. He has a stereotypical mental breakdown. Woo, spooky. And talks about it, by the way, reading Aaron's notes verbatim, and talks about how he and Ibn are actually the same person, blah, blah, blah. It's the weakest part of the game, and Natasha kills him. Yeah, that's about how that goes down. And then the chicken police are heroes. I do, again, I was talking a little bit about manufactured, kind of stretched out conflict. I felt the same about this, like, Wessler confrontation.
Right.
There was also this beat, and this goes back to like the Marty thing just not being very strong. There's this beat where Wester keeps going like, oh, you know what it's like, where the line between love and hate is like so thin you can't tell the difference. We've never seen that from Sonny.
Yeah, no, we know that Sonny has like a complicated relationship with his ex-wife, but I think besides that, he's just kind of like a deadbeat.
It feels like that was supposed to be his relationship with Marty, but the game just never goes there.
Right.
So this beat kind of falls flat. But I do like, so again, you're operating in a noir, you have some genre conventions. Obviously, there's a lot of like dames and whores and, things like that. I do like that even though the language is set up like that, the women all have agency because two women save Sonny and Marty, right? First, Natasha by shooting Albert, and then also
what's her name? The hummingbird.
The hummingbird saves them because she calls the cops.
Yeah, I think it's Monica, the hummingbird secretary. She's great. I love her.
Monica, my angel.
And she, at the end of the day, she's like, "You do owe me new shoes."
Yeah, size 35 black, thanks.
Incredible.
Which we love that. And she also I liked when Sonny kind of hit you have the option ask Sonny to hit on her in the beginning of the game, and she goes, I'm gonna pretend, or she's like, I didn't hear that and you didn't say that, and that's the end of it. I was like, that's a great comeback actually. I think that we're getting a little bit sequel baited, so I'm excited to meet Molly.
Yeah, I'm sure we will meet Molly in the sequel. So you know that there's a sequel coming out this year?
You informed me via notes.
Okay,
late
yes.
2024.
So if you go to the Wild Gentleman's website, they have an advertisement for Chicken Police Into the Hive, and we didn't talk much about the hive at all. But basically, there's a conflict between the animals and the insects in this world, and you can see the like silhouette of the hive, which is like this essentially a ghetto for where all the insects are forced to live, and like. I'm actually very interested in that because that seemed like an interesting bit of world building in this narrative. So yeah, there's going to be a sequel that's scheduled to come out this year, and I'm like really I'm excited to see what that is because like that's really fun.
Let me wish list that real quick.
Yeah, I'm just like looking at their promo image and there's like a fox that's smoking a long cigarette.
Me.
Yeah, Leyla coded. There's a baboon with like a huge golden fang. That's really cool. There's a crow that is like coded as a medieval doctor, and then of course we have our chicken police. I guess Marty is not retiring. Good for Marty. Yeah, no, I'm very excited for Into the Hive, because like they maybe they will disappoint me by answering the questions that they left lingering, but like. I'm just really glad that this game exists for all of the criticisms that I have of it. Like, I think a lot of the main questioning mechanics like did not work at all. Like, there's a bit where you have to like interrogate suspects, and like it doesn't impede your progress in the game, but like you have to like ask certain questions. I could never figure out what they wanted me to like ask to get those good scores.
I either crushed it.
Oh, you did?
I either crushed it or failed spectacularly. There was no middle ground.
Yeah, like I think the lowest I got was like 3 stars, and the best I got was 4. Like I was just kind of guessing, and like honestly, I was choosing the options that I found most interesting to me, and sometimes the game would penalize me for that, which I think was a mistake. But like yeah, despite all of these like criticisms that I have of this game, I think it is such a like fun and interesting world that they like wholly committed to. And I was reading a little bit about it on Wikipedia. Like, they developed some of these characters by like going to their local zoos and taking pictures of the animals and then scanning those animals in to the to the game itself instead of just using stock art, which is really fun. And like this is the kind of game that I can see if I ever got into game design, like me making, because it's like, kind of, I don't want to say low budget, right? Because all video games cost $1 billion to make, even
It's
ones like
efficient.
these.
It's
Right.
efficient.
Right, exactly. But like it's something that's kind of like small and achievable, but also like very interested in its own story and characters. And like I'm really thrilled that people are still out here doing this in an era where, we I don't know if we probably would have talked about this, had we had episodes in late 2023, but the video game industry is just facing wave after wave of terrible layoffs, and it fucking sucks. And I'm just glad there are people who are still out there despite the industry being a nightmare, that are making like little passion projects like this that are committed to themselves.
I was going to say not so little, because if you look at the key features in Into the Hive, we have now more than 30 fully dubbed characters, 35 locations to explore.
Oh shit.
This thing is going to be like large, which I love. So I love that. I'm very excited for this. I think it's very smartly made. It's really, really fun. It's a cool world. It's just kind of like it's satisfying. I loved Chicken Police so much. I know we talked about, we thought some of the gameplay could have used a little bit of work, and the kind of animal racism we just like didn't understand the point of. But honestly, I had so much fun playing this. I thought it was delightful. I thought all the performances were really great, for the voice actors. Like it was just so. It bought in so earnestly to its own bit that it was just a delight.
Right. We talk about this a lot, I think, on this podcast, but like committing to your art in a way that is genuine and not like doing the lampshading thing, being like, oh, look at me, I'm being a parody of noir, like, and just going for it is such a strong and confident choice that I'm just so thrilled.
I know. We're very, very excited for Into the Hive. Chicken Police is about a 4 to 6 hour game if you're quick about it. You could take a little longer to like be a little bit more of a completionist. If you have like a weekend and you're just looking for something kind of fresh and fun, like I highly recommend Chicken Police. It's
it's less than $10. Pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for our marketing minute, we can do the thing which is like, what does the Mortified visual novel look like? How would we make our own version of Chicken Police? I feel like we may have done that already. In which case we could just kind of try to extrapolate from what we think will happen in Chicken Run 3 / Chicken Police Enter the
Hive. Okay. Well, Is there? Ow. I think in this land of multiverses and sequels and prequels, I think the real question, Aaron, is there a Chicken Run noir visual novel?
There could be. There certainly could be, if we wrote to Aardman very sincerely and got their licensing agreement.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna retell Chicken Run, I think we could do a noir. Oh my God, we do a prequel that is Fowler's story and we make it a noir.
Yes, I was going here. I was like, yeah, what is the war like? What is the Chicken Run World War II story?
It's told by Fowler, who is an unreliable narrator at best.
Right. So he's definitely the narrator, but also like he's the post-war. He's coming back to his home after the war, a young man, but also deeply scarred by the trauma that he's dealt with, and he has to like settle things in his hometown, something like that.
Yeah. The other angle to this is his melodrama could be completely unserious, and in the background, without commenting on it, we see like the horrors of war.
Oh, say more.
So, Fowler is like trying to move up through the ranks because he's a mascot in the Royal Air Force, as we found out in the first movie. So that is the drama for Fowler, right? Like the petty drama of moving up through the ranks to be the like mascot for his plane or whatever. For his crate, I think was what they called it. And in the background of this, through contextual clues and environmental storytelling, we see, like, soldiers losing limbs, and suddenly it's a different pilot, and, like, Fowler just takes the surface level excuse and doesn't question it any deeper.
Yeah, so it's like the comedy of like an office sitcom, but set again like in the first scene of Saving Private Ryan. That's very
Absolutely.
funny.
Yes.
That no one
Ardman,
Ardman, Ardman, you have to give us the entire resources of your stop motion studio. I want the like fucking X-rated, like blood and guts like models, so that way all around the claymation, while Fowler is doing his like, oh, I gotta make sure the colonel gets this report and sees that I filled it in. We see just like people getting their heads blown off in like claymation.
You do know that the reason all the chickens wear something around their necks is to hide the seams, right? Where their heads separate?
I didn't know that, but that's very funny.
Yeah. So I guess, with a little ingenuity, they're already a little bit.
I mean, that's kind of perfect, right? If you're trying to do like a dark comedy, you just like you just show like the human fingers that are like going through the puppets. That sounds great. Ardman, we can start the bidding at 100 million, and we'll work our way up from there. Yeah, you can just, if you are Ardman or any other production studio that wants to pay me and Leyla, millions of dollars to make the best visual novel / movie you've ever seen, or if you just want to write in, you can get to us at mortifiedpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, so write in. You can offers to give us tons and tons of money to produce sequels, prequels, whatever you want, is great. But also, if you, and this cannot be a game that you worked on, we're not doing promotional material here. If you liked a goof game that takes less than 6 hours to play, and you'd like to hear us talk about it, preferably one that's been made upwards of like 5 years ago. We try to not do anything too recent. Please shoot us an email. Also, we love to review things. We did Undertale. We did, we'll do stuff like that all the time, especially stuff that's like very zeitgeisty. Yeah, that's my pitch. And also, if you missed us, tell us you missed us. We, flatter our egos. They're quite frail.
Absolutely. Leyla, when we are not begging for people to protect our fragile egos, where can we be found on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSES on Blue Sky or Tumblr. I'm quite steadily on Blue Sky. What about you?
I'm on Twitter at AaronSXL, on Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, am on Blue Sky at AA Voight, and also on YouTube at AA Voight, where I do my RPG video essays. Tabletop RPGs are kind of my thing now. So yeah, if you liked our conversations and want to hear more of my thoughts, go there. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshco from the album Filmmaker's Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshco.bandcamp.com. Leyla?
Yes.
How do we close out this podcast again?
Well, we'll close it the same way that Chicken Police Painted Red closed it, which is to quote the great Spike Spiegel.
Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop.
Whatever happens, happens.
See you later, space chicken.
Yeah.